think adults sometimes need the earplug.
Well, you just hope the parents, don't blame the kid
Right.
for the loss and not take them to another game.
We got Robin, Clarissa, Maya with their kiddos here.
We got twin birdies.
Yeah, and just a reminder, guys, you don't have to be at the game to send us your fan pics.
Of course.
Send them wherever you are, all the way across the country, around the world, whatever. Jorge Pacheco here with his kids for the game. They're still smiling because it was before
the
game.
eye black on. Love it, guys.
There you go. Got Dave Torres next here. Kiddo photobombing them in the background. It's a lot of memorabilia in the background, too. That's pretty awesome.
They're not upset about that photo bomb, though.
Not at all. Not at all. Mark Nunez, senior here. This might be an after shot. They don't look too thrilled. But they're just covering their eyes.
Could be pregame. That's your game faces.
Maybe that's their game faces, yeah.
And they were in the middle of playing, it looks like. When they cut that short, it's not fun.
Got Tiffany Guevara with the little kid here with the eye black. That's
Love
pretty
the
awesome.
eye black with the Cardinal. That's a good shot.
Matt Wilczek. That's pretty cool. You love the got little pigtails there for the kiddo.
He's ready.
Yeah, Renata Galvin here with their kid. Got
Love the
flag
stadium
and a hat.
pics, guys.
Yeah,
That's great.
The background there. More of those, absolutely. We got Aries Treviso.
Oh my goodness.
New fan here.
Baby's probably like 3 months old.
Maybe wondering why the Cardinals didn't pass the ball on second.
Yeah, that's why your eyes are so big.
Exactly.
Passed again? Come on, Bruce.
Brianna Annette Perez. That's pretty awesome. Still very optimistic Cardinals fan. She's happy they're 3-1. And then we got some pooch pics here from Julie Mackey Sassine.
Dig it.
Their dog's watching the. I'm guessing they've got the male.
You know what's amazing about that photo?
What's that?
They actually sell the breast cancer awareness jerseys for dogs.
They do. Well, and people purchase them apparently. So there you go. And then last one here. Lucia Lucero. This is my favorite just because I'm a big dog lover. Dog named Wi-Fi. Hopefully watches.
They should have had that dog on the sideline.
Yeah.
Just looking at Jeff Fisher.
You guys remember when the Georgia Bulldog almost bit an LSU player a few years ago?
Uga?
Yeah, Uga. One of the Ugas. Yeah. I'm guessing this dog's a little friendlier.
Yeah.
That's what
the Bulldog's name was Broadband, so Wi-Fi is a lot better.
That's really cool.
Great picks, guys. All right, our special guest has arrived. You know him. You love him. ABC 15 Sports Director Craig Fooey.
What's up, fellas?
Good to see
How
you,
guys
man.
doing?
Now, Craig left us about a month ago for hip surgery. How's everything going, man?
Everything's going great. I got rid of the cane this weekend. I'm trying to, at least, balance and walk, and it's been going well. It's great to see you guys.
Yeah, it's great to see you,
I've been
man.
watching every Monday.
You have?
Yeah, heck
Good.
yeah. The one. Hey, listen, let's talk the game yesterday because you cannot play the Rams and the referees.
Right.
You can't beat both.
Yeah,
we haven't dove into that.
In perspective, you can sit at home and watch these games.
Yeah, I've never had a chance to do that.
What, did you feel like it was
it wasn't
one-sided? Did you feel like all the calls went against
You know what? It wasn't the calls that were made. It was the calls that weren't made. Other than that forward progress call, which was ridiculous. But there were so many calls that just weren't made.
I agree.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah. Two of them that stand out was that should have been a penalty on the hit on John Brown.
Absolutely, out of bounds. That was clear.
How do you pick up a flag, especially when player safety is so number one on everybody's minds? He was nailed probably 7 yards out of bounds, and he was the second. Someone else knocked him out,
it was
and
second
then someone else came flying in. And it's the Rams. When you think about their reputation.
Greg Williams is the defensive coordinator. Excuse me. Yeah.
One of my favorites, though, guys, the touchdown celebration. Use the football as a pillow.
Really
that is using the ball as a
lame celebration.
Yeah.
Number one, it wasn't even funny, and that's so clearly a penalty.
But I will say this: the Rams played well enough to win, and the Cardinals were terrible in the red zone. They were awful on third down situations. They were 2 for 11 in third down conversions. They were 1 for 5 in the red zone. That was not a good game by the Cardinals yesterday. And I will say this: they were 3-0 coming in. But the teams they beat, the Saints, the Bears, and the 49ers, are combined 3-9.
Right.
So it's not exactly like, oh my gosh, the Cardinals are world beaters coming into this game, because they've beaten scrub teams.
They really did, and everybody knew that. And in retrospect, yesterday was still a game they should have won.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Don't you think they're going to kick themselves
You're
over
at
this
home.
one?
Absolutely you are. But I will say this: the Rams beat the Seahawks at home. If you remember in Week 1, and we were surprised at that. The Rams are no slouch team.
No.
And Nick Foles had a great game yesterday. Yeah. He was solid, 127 quarterback rating.
Would you have ever thought Nick Foles would have outplayed Carson Palmer?
No, because I
University
tweeted out in the first half, I said, this Rams offense is terrible.
Yeah.
And then they turned it around, and all of a sudden they were great. And if you have Todd Gurley rushing for 146 yards, almost 8 yards a carry, you're going to lose.
He's a true threat. There's no question about it. You know, the Rams are an interesting team because when they want to play, they can play with anybody. When they don't want to, they're very, very mediocre. That's why they'll get up for these big games.
They do.
Hopefully they get up again when they play Seattle and do the Cardinals a favor.
They're 2-0 in the NFC West. The Rams.
I know. That's what I said last night, too. They're in the driver's seat right now.
They are. They are.
But ultimately, I just don't see them sustaining that. But, man, when they want to bring it, they can bring it as well as any team.
Well, they're going to beat the
NFL.
49ers, right? No question. Now, can they beat the Cardinals at home? Can they beat the Seahawks in Seattle? That's the question, right? So, but the Rams are in the driver's seat in the NFC West.
Now, we spoke about this earlier in the show, Craig, but do you see that Rams win as a fluke or a blueprint on how to beat the Arizona Cardinals?
Well, I think it's tough defense, I think is what happened. I think you've got a defense that really came after the Cardinals and smacked them. And they got away with a few hits that maybe were borderline illegal. But that was a very, very solid Rams defense, and you knew that coming in. What surprised me was the offense, the way Todd Gurley makes a difference for Nick Foles. That was huge.
Especially in the second half.
And it's a totally different game if the Cardinals don't turn the ball over.
Absolutely.
They handed them the game.
3 turnovers.
17 points.
Yeah.
No team can recover from that.
No, you can't. That was a great game by the Rams. The Cardinals are struggling a little bit now. The good news is they go to Detroit and play the Lions.
Right.
You know, here's the interesting thing, and Craig and I know Bruce Arians pretty well. Nothing annoys him more than sloppiness, than turnovers, than not executing the game plan, than not being able to make I can only imagine how annoyed he is at that performance.
And go to the last 2 plays of the game by the Cardinals.
Yes.
What were those throws? I mean, what was going on? You don't see Carson Palmer throw the ball like that. What was that?
They were terrible.
Did you kind of see Bruce go a little bit away from the game plan that they were so successful in the first 3 weeks where they mixed it up? 46 pass attempts,
but everything was different yesterday because they were on their heels.
They were on their heels.
They had never played they had never trailed for 1 second the entire season until the beginning of the game yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think, it threw everything out of whack because they were playing catch-up the whole day.
Well, the good news is they go to the Lions, they take on the Lions. We'll see how good they are tonight in Seattle. No Marshawn Lynch for the Seahawks tonight, so we'll see what the Lions can do there. And then they take on the Steelers, and no Ben Roethlisberger at this point for the Steelers, right?
It's a huge break for the Cardinals.
It's a huge break for the Cardinals, and then they come back and take on the Ravens at home. So, listen, we'll see, but not all is lost.
Right, I was just going to say.
It's one loss. It's just a struggle when you lose at home.
Yeah, and great teams bounce back from games like yesterday. No question. And they have to. You have no other choice in the NFL. You have 12 more games to go.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to be fine. I really do.
Yeah.
You know what? They didn't lose anybody. I mean, we are really fortunate to be sitting here every Monday and not talk about major injuries.
Right.
So they're healthy, and they're going to add Ellington next week. So.
They are. And you saw what the Rams added in their team when they drafted Todd Gurley. You saw him yesterday. When you're averaging 8 yards a carry, in the first half, he had for the first 3 quarters, he had 10 yards a carry.
Yep.
It was unbelievable. It's who does that?
Yeah. You mentioned, Carson not looking like Carson, especially towards the end of the game. Do you think that had anything to do with him getting really roughed up for the first time this season?
Were they giving up 1 sack in the first 3 games?
Yeah.
And then what? How many yesterday?
2 in the first quarter.
2 in the first quarter.
4.
But and a lot of pressure.
Sacks.
And a lot of hits after the throw. I mean, they were bringing the pressure the whole day.
Yeah.
They were blitzing and really making his life a little rough.
Yeah.
I was shocked at how good the Rams offense was because if you look at it on the numbers alone, 28th and 29th in rushing and passing, and I think the Cardinals probably had the same reaction. They weren't expecting them to be able to make plays and move the ball down the field, and man, they were just constantly adjusting and trying to figure things out throughout the day.
You knew coming in that they had to stop Nick Foles, and I don't think they felt a lot of pressure in trying to stop the passing game. What they didn't anticipate is Todd Gurley being as good as he was, because they finished as a team with 164 yards rushing. Gurley had 146 of it, and I don't think they anticipated him being that good. And that's the difference maker for the Rams. They're going to be a solid team.
I think this is going to turn into we no longer have the Seahawks and the 49ers as a big rivalry because Harbaugh's gone. The Ravens and Steelers is so 2009. They keep force feeding us that rivalry, but that thing's pretty much done.
Yeah.
The Rams and the Cardinals, for some reason, hate each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You could certainly sense that from
head
the game
coach,
yesterday.
of course, adds fuel to that fire.
There's bad blood between those two
from
teams.
the beginning. Yeah,
there really
see it
is.
from the beginning.
I mean, that was a very physical game yesterday.
Yeah,
and for some reason, Arians and Fisher have something that we don't fully know is going on between them.
When do you see Larry Fitzgerald cough up the ball like that? You just never see it. But he got smacked.
Oh my God! When you look at the replay of that, and it was a perfect play because the defender led with his shoulder, and he just went for that. No one would have been able to hang on to that ball.
No,
it popped out like a popcorn machine.
No, McDonald was phenomenal. He hit so hard from the secondary.
We were talking some of the positives you can take away from that loss, silver lining. Carson was still able to spread the ball around. 4 receivers very much involved.
Yeah.
got that going from
It's
heading
like
forward.
a heat-seeking missile. Reminds me of Ronnie Lott back in the day.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, he would just come and
Oh my gosh,
blow you up.
They laid people out. But you're right, and I was tweeting out early in the game, throw the ball to Fitzgerald, find Larry. Finally, when they finally hit him, it's like, oh, finally Fitz, there you go. Now let's get this offense moving. You've got to get Larry incorporated in the offense earlier, and I don't know why it took so long yesterday to do that.
Finished with 99 yards.
Yeah.
Just needed to wipe the zero out of the touchdown column.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming into yesterday's game, Larry had more touchdowns in the last 2 weeks than the Rams had all season offensively. Their whole team.
Yeah.
Larry had 5 and they had 4.
Yeah. And Johnson, listen, David Johnson came in, coughed up that first kickoff return. The Rams scored right away. And like you said, Tom, the Cardinals had never trailed in a game. All of a sudden they're at home and looking up the scoreboard going, what?
Yep.
7-0 in the first minute and a half of the game?
You know what bothered me, and we mentioned this at the beginning of the show, but what really bothered me about the David Johnson fumble was it shouldn't have happened.
No.
That ball was in the wrong hand.
It was.
I mean, it is so instinctive for a runner to have it in the right hand, and they preach that. That's a basic fundamental for carrying the football.
Yeah, then he turned around and dropped the pass right away in the next series, and it was like, what's going on?
And I feel bad for him because he's a rookie, and that can get in your mind a little bit, and you start thinking, and he's such an instinctive player with that speed, and they don't want to lose him as a threat.
No.
So hopefully he can handle the little jabs that Arians was hitting him with at the end of the game.
Sure.
He said he played like a rookie.
Well, you could see, too, the offensive line struggling with that Rams defensive front, the way they put pressure on them, and you could see the holding, Jared Valdir, the Jonathan Cooper holding, and it was like, what's going on with this line? Because they've been stout through the first 3 games. But again, like I said earlier, those first 3 games, those teams are combined 3-9.
Let me ask you this, though. Speaking of stout, biggest question today for you, Craig. We're here at Four Peaks Brewing Company in Scottsdale. What was the order? You have your lovely wife there, Kim. What'd you get?
Pumpkin porter.
Did you? Nice.
It's one of my favorites.
It's that time.
It's that time of year. You only get it for a couple months here. You know, you got to try it. I have to say, it's still sitting at the table.
Oh, it's getting warm.
Part of it. Hey, plus only in Phoenix can we say there's a chill in the air and it's 92.
That's right.
It feels like fall.
This is actually nice because we're out here on the patio. I mean, when can you do that, right? So you know it's October. It's a great time of year. It's football season. We're loving it. ASU came up with a big win Saturday night. That was huge. The Cardinals struggled yesterday, but you know what? It's only one loss.
You know, that's the thing about football. The script can flip every week. Remember how down on the Sun Devils we were a week ago? Now they look
How
like
can you not be?
You think they're going to win the Pac-12 South now, right?
Yeah.
Now the Cardinals, you think the sky's falling. That's the thing about the NFL.
Yes.
So emotional, man.
But that's the beauty of football, isn't
every
it?
week.
Because there's not 182 games.
not.
There's not 62 games. Or 82 games. It's 16 games in the NFL, and every game matters.
You live and die with every single game.
Yeah.
And you tend to blow it out of proportion. It's never as good as you think it is.
Right.
And it's not nearly as bad as you feel it is after a loss.
We went out to dinner last night, and just as we were going in, this young couple was coming in. They both had their Cardinals gear on. You know, they were coming from the game. The guy had a Patrick Peterson jersey on. The girl had a Cardinals T-shirt on. And I held the door for her, and she walked in, and the guy said, "I'll go ahead." And I said, No, you need to go in first because you had a rough afternoon. And he looked at me and said, "We just came from the game." I said, "I could tell." I said, I could see it in your jaw. Yeah, it was just like hanging down to the floor. But we live and die with this stuff.
Yeah. And then when you go to a game, it's a full day investment. You're up early, you're driving out there, you're fighting traffic, you're getting in there early, and then just screaming for 3 hours. It wears you out, and then you got to come back.
And yelling at the refs.
Oh, man,
Not to mention the emotional ups and downs. I mean, they were one. They had a chance at a long game-winning field goal, and to be there to witness that, you can almost feel it happening, right? They're getting in field goal range. We're building, and then huge letdown.
Yeah, the Cardinals have been so good in the first 3 games, and granted the opponents weren't all that great as we look back in hindsight, but they were so solid. And then to just struggle in the red zone yesterday was just horrendous.
Yeah. It takes solace in the fact that you have a great coach who's not going to let this team get up too high, get down too low, and he's going to make the necessary adjustments next week against Detroit. One of the things yesterday was, we talked about the offensive line. And, with Massey out, and then Upati was out, and they're mixing them back in. That takes a little time.
That does take time.
And if you think about Ted Larson, he started those first 3 games. Yesterday he was inactive.
Yeah.
So he goes from starting for a unit that allowed 1 sack in 3 games to being inactive as they get Upati in there. And offensive lines takes cohesiveness. You have to work together.
And don't underestimate that. It does 100%. Take time for guys to get to know each other. And Mike Upati went out in the preseason with that knee injury. And so now he's coming back and trying to get used to Jared Valdir. Valdir's trying to get used to him. And it does take time. And then you've got Jonathan Cooper in the mix and Massey coming back. And so those guys, you could tell, were not on the same page yesterday at all. And that takes time. So don't underestimate that chemistry in the offensive line.
Cohesiveness.
Yeah,
they're 0-1 with Mikey Potty, so that's not good. But